Africa needs to organize a new Berlin conference on its own territory. We need to reimagine political systems and territories and federations that will effectively promote economic development and integration. So my final proposition, African states must basically, along with civil society, proceed to the ancient empire of Ethiopia, the seat of African diplomacy, to reverse the act of cartographic mischief that European statesmen imposed in Berlin 135 years ago. The ancestors of Africa must be invited to this grand diplomatic banquet, where Kwame Nkrumah should hand over the torch of Pan-Africanism to Thabo Mbeki so that the curse of Berlin over Africa can finally be lifted. Professor Pra and I have agreed that he'll be more conceptual and I'll be more empirical. And I also want to be an Afro-realist so that we confront the challenges as well. Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all other things will be added onto it. This famous biblical injunction by Kwame Nkrumah still reverberates across the continent and its diaspora 6 decades after they were spoken. This griot's tale that I want to tell is going to look at Africa's quest for 3 magic kingdoms of security, hegemony, and unity. Slavery, of course, was the original sin of Europe against Africa. European imperial locusts basically spread plague and pestilence across the continent and ravaged it over 4.5 centuries. 12 to 15 million Africans, some of the most productive people, were shipped across the Atlantic to the Americas in this sordid trade. And slavery basically provided the justification and the methods for colonial rule, because this had been perfected in the Caribbean and Americas and then applied to Africa for a century. So Africa thus suffers from a curse that was invoked in Berlin at the Congress of Berlin, the notorious conference, in 1884 to 85. German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck was the sorcerer who, along with his apprentices, basically used the wizardry of the Industrial Revolution's technology to divide and partition Africa. And the consequences were quite enormous. You had dependent, unviable economies, you had imported political systems, and you also had weak and balkanized states, with 16 of those states landlocked.